Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo 7. We're back with part 2 of the super license test. Now we've already done part 1. If you're looking for them ones, that is super license 1, 2 and 3. They are on the channel under the super license playlist. Also in there currently is the super license 10. We did that first of all, but this is part 2. We're in this one, it's going to be included the part 4, so super license 4, 5 and 6 is going to be in this, and we're going to go on to 7, 8 and 9, hopefully within the next 4 to 5 days have that on the channel also. But yeah, for this one we're going to be heading for these 3 licenses, get them covered, give you guides how to do it, breaking points, tips to make it a lot easier for yourself, and hopefully get you that gold without much effort. So yeah, do hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy these. Let me know in the comment section if it's helped you out. It really does help me out to read these comments that have helped so many people out. It's great to read. So yeah, let's get on with the first one, and it is the Super License 4. It's the 1 lap around Tokyo in the Supra. So going straight into turn 1, we're going to first of all be looking for the 50 board on the right hand side. So I'm going to slow it down now. As we approach this 50 board, you can see we're braking just short of the 50 board. Now we are going to downshift the 5th and absolutely chuck it in. You really need to aggressively chuck it in, and you want to get as close to the wall on the left hand side as you physically can. So down to 4th gear as we're about to go into the corner, and now we're going to hug the wall as close as you dare. You need to get as close to that wall as possible because you want to get on the throttle as early as possible to carry as much speed as possible out the exit. So you see the early upshift to 5th gear, that's so that we can get the exit speed. You can see it's a little bit behind my Ghost there, so the Ghost is a little bit ahead, but overall a pretty solid turn 1. Now we're going to be looking for the next braking zone, which again, we're going to look for the 150 board. You're going to see it approach in a minute. 150 board just up ahead there. We're going to brake pretty much on that. Now you can brake a little bit later, but I choose to brake on it and then take a little bit of a tighter line through the next corner. So pretty much on that 150 board, braking inputs going in, and now we're going to aim to hit the apex on turn 1. So there is different ways you can do this corner. For this way, I'm going to show you, we're going to try and get that right hand tyre onto that curb, take a little bit of the corner off, and then get this car done in one long sweeping corner. So it's a very tricky corner, this section. This section is very tricky. If you get this right, you can make a big difference on your lap. So right hand tyre onto the curb. Again, be careful with the braking, trail braking all the way into that corner. And now you're going to do a long sweeping corner all the way to the second part of the apex. So you're going to see here as we play it, sweeping through the corner, and now you're aiming for that part of the apex. You want to get your right hand tyre over the curb. You actually can cut a little bit of it off, and be careful on the throttle through here. Again, we're highlighting that throttle because you don't want to go 100% throttle because the car will just spin out. So yeah, again, highlighting the throttle inputs all the way through the corner, and again, you're aiming to get a little bit of a cut on the third part of the corner. So it's a real long corner this, and now you're going to rotate the car into the left. Now you don't want to sweep the car in too far to the right, to the left, because it will start snapping on you. So just gently inputs there, upshift it early to 4th gear, and again, take a little bit of the corner off on the left hand side and keep that power down on the exit and carry as much speed as you can. Now be careful of the rear as you come out of that corner. It can snap sometimes if you're a little bit too aggressive. But now we're going to look for the next braking zone, which again, we're going to brake just past the 50 board. You see it there. Just as we go past the 50 board, we're going to get on the brakes and downshift to 4th gear. Now we're going to try and get the car as close to the apex on the wall as possible. The braver you are, the more speed you're going to carry through here. But be careful, any slight wall contact on this track is an instant invalidation of the lap. So you do have to be a little bit careful. Remember, you do have quite a lot of time to play with. You only need to get a 2-minute lap for the gold. So yeah, working our way onto the straight now. Flat out this section, you do not need to lift at all. It's just 100% all the way through here. Just try and take the shortest line, basically as straight as you can through these corners. So trying to keep the wheel inputs very small as well. So really smooth, gentle wheel inputs to stop scrubbing too much speed off. And again, through there, again, just keep it close to the wall without hitting it. Now we're going to be looking for our next braking zone. And we're going to be looking for the 150 board there in front of us. And we're going to be pretty much braking dead on that 150 board. You can see it there. You can brake a little bit past it, but just be careful. You need to get this car slowed down. You're going really, really quick into this corner. So slowing the car down, and again, you want to get it slowed down because you want to get the car as close to the apex on the right hand side as possible. So you're going to see I take a very tight line through this corner. So downshifting into 2nd gear, hold 2nd gear, get the right hand tyre to almost skim the white line on the right hand side. So your right tyre wants to almost be gently touching that white line as you go through, and then slowly feed the power through. Don't be too aggressive. Again, you've got to be like 50%, then 70, then 100% throttle as you come out the exit, because this car again will snap if you're a little bit too aggressive. Now working our way uphill and now into the final group of corners, which are very, very tricky again. So For this corner, again, you're going to look for that 50 board, just breaking a little bit past the 50 board. And this is pretty much where you're going to chuck the car in as well from 5th gear. Now, you don't put massive amount of braking input there. It's just a little bit of a dab on the brakes just to get a bit of rotation into the corner. And you're going to try and keep that tyre, the right hand tyre, as close to this wall on the right hand side as possible, and then onto the throttle. A little bit of playing with the throttle to rotate the cars, because you can't go flat out, you just have to lift off, back on the throttle, lift off. And again, we're going to do the same for this next part, rotating it in, getting close to the wall again on the left hand side now. And you really do, the closer you get to that wall, the more speed you carry through the corner. So it's vital you really get in a rhythm of doing these corners. Now we're going to swing it from left to right into this next right hand corner. It's another 5th gear corner. You can see a tiny bit of braking input going in there because we need to slow it down ever so slightly and help with a bit of rotation. It's mainly to rotate the car, that braking input. And again, downshift to 4th gear, accelerate out, and then we're going to swing it back over to the right hand side. And again, we're going to use that 50 board as kind of a reference where we're going to chuck it in from. So you're going to look out for that 50 board, because we're going to go on the brakes around that point for this final corner. It's so important to get the braking right here. So just a little bit of braking input going initially. And you're going to see we're going to really attack the wall on the left. So you can see about 50% braking, then gradually fading it off. And left-hand tyre needs to skim the wall on the left. And you have to be quite aggressive on the throttle. Now, sometimes when you're that aggressive on the throttle there, you will skim the wall on the outside. It will happen. It happens to everyone. It's just the way it is. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll get a really good exit and you'll go over the line. And we beat that time by over 4 seconds. So you will be able to beat this time if you just follow the basic tips from that one. You should be able to get the gold fairly easily. So next up, we have the Super License 5. Now, this is a rally one. This is a bit more difficult for me to do because rally's not my favourite, but yeah, we'll give it a go. So we're going to stay to the right side and we're going to almost chuck this car in early. You can see we're putting the right-hand steering inputs in early, just trying to get the rotation on the car. And then we're going to chuck it to the left very early, because you're almost working ahead of yourself when you're doing these rally events. You're actually thinking a little bit further ahead of yourself, so you're rotating the car through the corner. Again, you see, trying to take the shortest line through there while carrying the maximum speed. That is the best thing you can do for these rally events. Now, you're going to see, keep your eye on the throttle inputs as we're coming into this next section. We're going to keep lifting off the throttle, but not really going on the brakes, just lifting off the throttle as we keep the car as close to the fence on the right hand side as possible. And again, staying in 4th gear. A little bit of braking input going in here because we're about to chuck it into the left hand side. So you can see I'm already turning the wheel left. We're braking to help with the rotation, and we're going to get a bit of a drift going. Now, we go down to 3rd gear. We do run a little bit wide here, but what running wide does is it gives us quite a straight line entry into this next part. So you can actually see we can carry momentum through the corner and out the exit. So again, maximum throttle. We're now going to aim for that fence on the left as close as possible to it. And we're building that speed back up. You can see there, getting very close to the fence. Make sure you don't hit it though. It will instantly disqualify your lap. And again, up to 4th gear, and again, you're going to see here, we're going to start turning in very early for this next right-hand corner, because you're basically turning in a couple of seconds ahead of what you need, what you think you need to. Now, this is a tricky corner. Make sure you're on the brakes a little bit before the jump that you're about to see here, just before that white boarding on the right-hand side there. Now, down to 3rd gear, and you're turning in extremely early for this corner, because you want to carry the speed out of this 90 degrees left. And you see, the bump will make your car go a little bit out of shape, so just be careful through there. Mine went a bit out of shape, but we got on that throttle, playing with it, lifting back on the throttle just to try and get that traction, and we carried reasonable speed through the exit here and underneath the little bridge thing above us there. So yeah, so far okay. Now we're going to be working into this quite fast section. Now, I stay to the left. There's a little jump up here, you can see there. I stay on the grass here because it's a little bit less severe when you do that. It takes the jump a little bit better, and we're already at this point turning in right for this corner up ahead, because again, we're going to start swinging the car in. So when it lands, we're swinging it in, and we got that rotation into this corner, and we're still carrying over 100 miles per hour. So you're really carrying the speed through these corners. Now, from this point, you want to take a straight line as possible through this next group of corners, because you don't want to be scrubbing too much speed off. So you're going to see carrying that momentum, keeping the car on the left-hand side near the grass. And then again, for this next section, this is really important that you really get a bit of a drift going into this next corner. So what you'll see I do, I start swinging the car to the right quite violently. That's going to get the car swinging over to the right, and we're going to try and almost get the car drifting into the next corner. So we're facing the wrong way here, and then we, just as we go past them barrels on, I think the hay barrels on the right-hand side, we're going to swing the car and downshift it and rotate it now through to the corner. So you're almost drifting in, and you can accelerate straight through the corner. So at this point here, you can see we're drifting, and now we've got a clean line of sight through this S corner, which is going to mean we can accelerate almost in a straight line. So on the throttle maximum, accelerate, get a straight line, and now we're going to think about the next corner, the right-hand corner. So you're already getting that drift going for this right-hand corner. So again, through here, down to 2nd gear, get a bit of rotation, and again, this last corner, it's all about getting the car rotated. again, you're turning the wrong way, so you're turning to the right and then swinging it back to the left. A little bit of braking input as you do that to get the car rotating, and you're going to see the car's going to start changing direction, and we're going to get a nice drift on this section. So again, on that throttle as aggressively as you can, and then this is pretty simple. But one thing I will say, there's a little jump up here that you want to stay a little bit over to the left hand side. The jumps are still a little bit tricky on GT7 on the rallying, but it's a bit better than it used to be. I noticed that still staying to this left hand side does make the jump a little less severe. So yeah, try and stick as far to the left as possible, and just be careful this jump. You see I give a little lift off the throttle there, just about 40%, just to help the car be a bit more stable over that jump, and then just work your way to the finishing line. And I think we beat that fairly comfortably, over 4 seconds ahead, well, over 3 seconds ahead, sorry, of the 3.4 seconds ahead of the goal time. So hopefully that will help you out in terms of achieving that gold one. Next up, we have the Ford Shelby at Trial Mountain. So this is a very tricky one in terms of the car. Now, the time is pretty easy to beat. However, the car is very, very tricky to drive. So first up, we're going to look for the change of colour there, where the barrier changes to the orangey yellow colour. And you're going to get a little bit of braking input in here for this first part, because you want to get the car rotating in. You see we're in 5th gear still, a little bit of braking input going in, and now we're going to fade off pretty much instantly. You can see coming off the brake, because we want to get that left-hand tyre to cut the first part of this corner as much as possible. You can see there over the orange part, get that left-hand tyre to almost touch the grass. And now we're going to let's go pretty much as straight line as possible. We've downshifted into 4th, and again, right-hand tyre on the grass, left-hand tyre on the curb. Don't cut it too much because you will get a penalty. Just be aware that you can cut quite a bit off it though to straight line it. Now, staying in 4th gear here, we're going to see as we come to this corner here, just before the curb on the left hand side, we're going to get on the brakes quite early, because you've got to be careful with this car. It gets very sketchy. So you're staying in 4th gear at the moment, left hand tyre touching the curb on the left hand side. You can carry quite a bit of speed through this corner, I will say that, but just be careful on the throttle. This car is all about being cautious on the throttle. Just remember that. It's the one thing I have to say. Now, first up, braking here, pretty much at the end of the orange barrier on the right hand side. You can see my braking input's going in probably a little bit early, but I'm being ultra cautious with this car. So turning it into this long left hand corner through the tunnel. Now you want to try and get as close to the wall as possible, and you're going to see I get a little bit too close. I actually slightly hit the wall, but I get away with it. It doesn't invalidate the lap, just a little gentle nudge on there, and it does unsettle the car a little bit, so I lose quite a few tenths of a second maybe on that corner. But as we come out, we get on the power reasonably well, and now we're looking for the next braking zone, which I use that rock there on the left hand side, making sure that we're braking a little bit short of it. Make sure you're just short of that, because this car will catch you out with how fast it is. And we're going to stay in 3rd gear for this corner, and again, be very cautious on the throttle. You see I've highlighted it again, because this car, as you're trail braking in, you want to slowly feed the throttle in. Don't just go straight onto 100% throttle. Now remember, I'm using no traction control. Some of you might prefer to do this with a bit of traction control, especially as the time is not that hard to actually achieve. So into the next section, we're going to get on the brakes here nice and early. You can see just as we're approaching this point on the corner, just pretty much halfway on the curb there, staying in 3rd gear, and again, all about throttle inputs. You can see there 40%, then we're going to gradually go up to about 50, 60, and still not 100% throttle until I feel confident that the car is almost in a straight line. That is the key to this car. You have to get that car in a straight line, and pretty much as soon as we enter the bridge, we're going to pretty much get on the brakes just as we go into the dark area, onto the brakes and trying to rotate this car. Now I follow almost the yellow line on the left as a racing line, get the car in the middle of that, and it should work quite well. So you see almost pretty much dead in the middle through there on that yellow line, and then power your way out all the way up this main straight. Now this is a very long straight. Now with this car, I have found that short shifting seems to be a little bit more effective, especially on the uphill section. So you see I'm not revving it maximum, because I did a little comparison, and it seemed like short shifting seemed to work a little bit better for this car, so you do gain a little bit of time when you shift a little bit earlier. So next braking zone, this is a vital one. You have to brake extremely early. You can see there the little log on the right hand side, and way before the shadow. That's my best advice for your braking point. You have to brake super early though, because this car does not like to slow down. Now again, you want to take quite a tight line here through here, but you don't want to go too tight that it makes the angle a little bit difficult for the power. So again, I'm going to use that yellow line as kind of a reference, getting the left hand tire as close to it as possible, almost that white line that's there on the track, and then again gradually feed the power on 50% throttle all the way up to 100%. Be careful as you come out the exit. It will start to go. You see it goes on me there. I stay on the throttle though and get away with that one. And now we're into the next section where, again, I'm going to go up to 4th gear just to try and settle the car down a little bit. And you can see, again, playing with the throttle all the way on this uphill section and braking very, very early. Almost pretty much just before the cone on the left-hand side. You can see that cone on the left there. Just brake just before that. down to third gear, and you want to get this car in nice and early because it's a bit of a cambered corner. So get the car turned in nice and early and try and keep it as close to the curb as possible, and then just gradually feed that power through. You can see again 40% throttle, backing off a little bit as we feel the car. You can almost feel it twitching around, and then back on the throttle, down the hill now, and then into this next left-hand corner, which again, you're going to get the car over to the right-hand side of the track, and you're going to brake just past the start of the curb. So you can see where that arrow is there. That's pretty much where we're going to brake. And you see braking inputs going in now. We're going to slow the car down, and again, you want to get the car rotating into this corner. It actually rotates really nice. I think the way the camber is, the car rotates really nicely. You just get the left-hand tire to skim the curb, and again, slowly feed that power in on the exit. Don't just be too aggressive, because this car will snap easily if you're too aggressive. And now we're working our way into the final section, which is fairly simple, but again, you have to be cautious on that throttle. So just as we approach the curb on the right side, you can see there braking inputs going in at the start of the curb, braking nice and safe here. I'm not pushing any like too far. I just want to get the car slowed down to second gear, and we're going to try and rotate the car into this curb on the left hand side. So again, staying in second gear. We're not going to go to first gear or anything, just staying in second gear. And when we hit the curb here, you want to get this car really rotating to the left and then swinging it into the last part of the corner. So you're going to see straight away, I'm going to turn to the left, get it rotating, not carrying too much speed, because we want to get the car turned in and squared off as easily as possible with this next part. So a little dab of the brakes as we hit here. We're not going to go aggressive on the brakes, so just a little dab of the brakes, and get that right hand tire onto the curb and slowly feed the power in for the exit. Now again, be cautious, because it will snap on you fairly easy if you're too aggressive on that exit, and then just power your way down to the finishing line. You see about 60% shifting again I was doing there. Don't go into fifth gear though, because there's no point changing gear just before the finishing line, and we get a 2010.842, which again is just over 4 seconds quicker than the goal time. So hopefully that should help you out. Now, if this video has helped you out, do let me know in the comments. I love reading the comments that are people that have managed to get the gold from these videos. And yeah, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. It really does help me out. I do this for a living. So yeah, thank you all again for watching the video, and I'll see you all soon for more live streams and videos. Bye everyone.